Three, two, one, and we're live. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the VillageMade podcast. My name is Mavel Heimuli, and today we have a special guest. I enjoy everything that he's about, and today we're going to be repping DMJ. Here we go.
Here we go.
We're here with Isaac Manutai. Before that, go ahead and check our sponsors in the link in the description box below. Man, Isaac, I appreciate you coming, doing this for us. And just like I had mentioned earlier that, when people started reaching out to me, it made my job easier of actually going out and looking for people. And so, I appreciate it. And I thank you for, I don't know what it is that you see with, the VillageMade podcast, but for you to want to come on and, it's just appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure.
All right. Well, let's just get into it.
Okay.
Let's start with your names.
Okay.
Who named you and the meaning of your names?
Okay. My name is Isaac Mapusanga Manutai. And I asked my mom, I was like, where did you get Isaac? And she said it was just a name that she liked. There was no other relative that I was named after. I think one of the other options was Jared or something like that. But Mapusanga, my middle name is my father's first name, and that's the village that he was born and raised in. And then Manutai, it means seabird. That's the translation in Samoan. And I remember growing up in Laie, the Tudor family on Iosepa Street, they had a boat, and it said Manutai on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, I was like, hey, is that our boat? Then I learned the meaning of our name, and then it's fitting that it would be on a boat. So that's my name.
Dang, that's cool. And for your family, how many siblings? And then can you also tell the story of your migration, if you know the migration from Samoa?
Yep. So there's 5 of us. I'm the oldest of 5. There's 3 boys and 2 girls. And in regards to the migration, so my mom's side of the family, they are from Falenu in Samoa, and they migrated to Laie. She said they came because the temple was in Laie, and they came just one at a time, like as they could afford. And then my grandmother, my mom's mother, she was the last of her siblings to come. My mom's father is a white German boy from Wisconsin. So my mom's Afakasi. A lot of people who see my mom, they thought she was either Hawaiian or Tahitian because she doesn't look full Samoan, obviously because she's half. My dad's side of the family, he's a Fuemo Ono. And the Manutai side is from Western Samoa. But he was born and raised in Mapusanga. I don't know if he was born there, but he was raised in Mapusanga. Well, that's how he got his name, Mapusanga Fo.
Right.
And same thing, they came to Laie just, I guess, for a better life. And they sent them all just as they could. They would come and make money and then just send until the entire family was here. So, and then as in regards to me, I was born in Honolulu,
right,
on Townside at the old Kaiser building, and I wasn't even 1 year old, and we moved to Nevada.
Wow.
Yeah, we moved to Nevada. My sister under me, Aniva, was born there. Then after Nevada, we moved to Utah. And my 2 brothers after that were born in Utah, Levi and Aaron. My father had a plane cleaning business. He had some Polynesians that worked for him. He ended up selling the business, and then we moved back to Hawaii.
Okay.
And I spent, I think, my 2nd and 3rd grade year in Makakilo. That's where my mom's parents lived. And then 4th grade is when I came back to Laie. Okay. And I've been there ever since.
And so what was childhood like for you being raised in Laie?
It's just like everybody else. It's just the best. I was contemplating on that today, and we had, um, what was it? Our youth conferences where we would be at Camp Erdman,
Right.
Pupukea, just going to the beach, jumping off the point. It was it was a simple time, a simple life. It was a time where we didn't lock our homes. We
Right.
left the keys in the car. Um, it was just a good, a good, awesome childhood that I can remember. Yeah.
Right. And for being also like raised in the home, what were some of the cultural aspects? Maybe like language or maybe like traditions or customs that were
Mhm.
taught in the home?
Yeah. So, with my mom being Afakasi, my dad is fluent in Samoan, but my mom, she didn't learn the language. So unfortunately, it wasn't spoken in our home. So we had to learn it like when we went to our grandmother's house. So, I think out of all of my siblings, I understand it the most. The others, they're just
Right.
misiako. They only know like the main words, but it wasn't really spoken in our home. But I think out of the cultural values, like respect is the main thing. Just respecting your elders. When you pass someone, you say tulo,
Right.
stuff like that. And then if we didn't do what we're supposed to do, we got the laying on of hands. I think some people call it abuse, but we call it the laying on of hands.
Right.
But yeah, that's how it was. Yeah.
I guess for going a little different, what were some of your favorite Samoan foods, or was food something that you guys in the home made a lot of Samoan food, or was it mostly like American or
Yeah.
like Hawaiian?
Yep. So
Or
we ate like mostly everything, but I loved when my dad would make a mean chop suey. That was really yum. I liked palusami. I love all foods, but one thing that I think about is I remember my dad, he would eat a lot of raw fish, and I didn't like raw fish growing up, but it wasn't until I was older and moved to the mainland, then I ate it. I love it. Can't get enough of it now, but um, yeah, my dad would make a good chop suey.
And I just want to
Yeah,
sorry to
yeah, yeah, yeah,
interrupt,
yeah.
but just throw this out there that your dad and his brothers, yeah, they all can cook,
They
or is it
can
just that one brother? Or
no, they can all
yeah, I
cook very
feel like they
well.
all can
Yeah,
cook,
yeah.
right?
My uncle Paki, they call him the chef. Also, yeah, they
That's cool.
they're good cooks. Yeah.
Man. And I don't know if you had, or if there were situations that came up, maybe that you felt, whether it's here on the mainland or, because in Hawaii, when they're born and raised there, or,
Hmm.
being raised there, we're the majority. And
Hmm.
so maybe the, like being questioned if you're Samoan enough, but maybe here on the mainland, I don't know if you had any situations where maybe you didn't feel, Samoan enough, or maybe too Samoan at times.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I made friends with some Samoans straight from Samoa, and I got to a point where I was living with them for a little bit, and we were actually living with their family. So it had their parents living with, and spoke Samoan. And during that time, I didn't feel Samoan enough because I'm not fluent in the language.
Right.
And it was that experience that kind of really helped me to learn the language a lot better. I remember one of the uncle, he called to me and he asked me to bring the iron up. And I was like, okay, I know he asked me to bring something, but I don't know what that word is. And
Right.
so I remember grabbing just a laundry basket and I was like, please be what he asked me to bring. And I walked upstairs and he just started laughing at me. So, um, and that's here in Utah, So that's an instance that I can think about where I didn't feel Samoan enough. Um, but I felt like I've learned the language a little bit more, and so I can't speak it fluently, but I can definitely understand it a lot better. Yeah.
Dang, that's cool. And then living here in Utah, have you? when people see you or when people look at you and they like, did you have to explain what a Samoan is? Do you get more of that, or have you ever encountered something?
I think when I first moved here, so I moved here the summer of '99. I've been here forever, and so when I first moved here, I did get a lot of that. For some reason, a lot of people identify with Hawaii
More
more.
right.
So um, at workplaces, well, because I'm mixed, some people, I've even had some Polynesians question if I was Polynesian, if they didn't know me. And they're like, oh, I thought you were Mexican or something else. But talking to non-Polynesians, I remember when I first moved here, I did kind of explain to them, no, I'm not Hawaiian, but I grew up in Hawaii, and just let them know about Samoans. But I think, like with The Rock, and I think it's
I agree.
being a little more with Jason Momoa and all those other, it's a little bit more popular. So, but there's still that percentage of people that aren't familiar with it. So
Oh man. So being growing up, and with all the traditions in the home and with culture, do you believe with the American culture and the Samoan culture, is there a give and take there, or do you believe that one culture needs to overtake the other, or do you feel like you does that make sense?
yeah, um, I think I think you can find a good balance of both. Um, because if you think about the culture, a lot of it is, I mean, there's a lot of good that comes from our culture, but it's set and it was created from way back when. Um, I guess what I'm getting at is there's pros and cons to both sides of the culture, American and
Right.
the Polynesian and Samoan culture. If you can find a good balance of both, um, I don't think one should overpower the other, because of course we don't want to forget where we were from, and we'll want to always incorporate our culture, I believe. But if we find a good balance of both, I think that it works out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. And with the migration of, I think it was your grandparents,
Hmm.
right, that moved from Samoa
Hmm.
to Hawaii, and then to Utah or wherever. Do you think that your grandparents, they'd be proud of the person, or the person that you are, for the sacrifices that they made moving from the islands?
I would hope so. I mean, I want to say yes, but I can say that there's things that I've done that I'm not so proud of, but it's all part of the journey and me getting to the point where I'm at now. So at this point and now, I would say yes. I would say that they would feel that the sacrifices that they made were worth this product that's sitting in front of you.
Nice, I like that, man. I appreciate your input and your insight on the cultural aspect.
Mhm.
And at this point, I guess we'll turn into and talk about your passion. I'm sure a lot of people know that music,
Mhm.
is something that, I don't know, for you, has been such a big influence in your life. And so, can
Yeah.
you talk about that and
Yeah.
where it all started and how it came to be?
Yep. Yep. It's funny. It's been on my mind recently about telling my musical journey. And then when I seen the VillageMade podcast, I was like, because I was thinking, I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to do a live, or am I going to do a video? And this is perfect. So I thank you for that, for me being able to have this platform to tell my story. Um, Growing up, I loved music from a very young age. Um, I remember having a conversation with a friend here in Utah who's well versed in music, and we were talking about different artists. And as I was mentioning different artists, and he would say, "Wow, um, your parents must have played a lot of good music growing up in the home." And I was like, "Well, actually, no, they didn't." It's funny. I've always been drawn to like R&B and gospel, like they say the black music, but that's what I've been drawn to. And so I can recall at a young age when we would go to the Koku library, instead of going to the books, I would go to, there was cassette tapes, and I would rent or borrow. I remember borrowing like Michael Jackson, Anita Baker, Natalie Cole, just listening. And I didn't even know who these people are. I see that, man, this is so bad. And this is just my sheltered Polynesian island thinking. I was like, well, he's black. They must sound good. And I would just get them because they're black. So I really was drawn to that type of music. And my mom could tell that I enjoyed music at a young age. My aunts would say that I would run around the home singing, and my dad would be mad because he said, "Stop singing, you sound like a little girl." He would just make that joke. But my mom recognized that I liked singing, and so she put me in the Honolulu Boys Choir. So I was a part of it when I was in Makakilo in the 3rd grade. I was there for like 1 season. And then when we eventually came to Laie, I would try to emulate the sounds and the songs of singers that I enjoyed, and I didn't sound good, but I worked on, trying to sound like them. But my friends, being, the way they are from Laie, they would always give me comments like, "What? 2 mils? Or what are you trying to sound black for?" And those are the comments that I would get. But I kind of it just helps you build tough skin coming from where we are, because our village has the strongest critics, and they'll let you know what they think. So, moving to Utah and meeting other Polynesians for the first time who can sing. The first time they gave me a compliment, immediately I thought they were teasing me, because I was used to being teased, or just not necessarily being teased, but just, your friends being your friends and just mocking me. So I had to learn how to receive a compliment, and because that's just what I was used to from back home. But going back to Laie, I also had the opportunity to, when we had, what was it? The Youth Garden?
Yeah.
Were you a part of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did Youth Garden, and I got the part as a farmer. And I had to do a big solo in front of the prophet. And that was, I think, my very first experience of like doing a solo in front of like thousands of people. Right. And it was nerve-wracking. But it was a great experience. And then I think we did it again for Steve Young when he came in. Yeah. So that was another great experience. Then moving to Utah, I met some friends, and I joined Samoan Fa band. And I was in it with Kelly Settle and Bertha Samoa, who are also from the village.
Okay.
And it was called Mixed Emotions. And we gigged around, and after that, I was in a band with Ray Ledger. Oh, wow. It was called Big Ship, and we sang for a little bit together. We had the opportunity to, when Fiji came in, we sang with him, and we were able to do backups with Fiji. Just a lot of, I've been fortunate to gain a lot of experiences through singing and music. It's a passion that I have. But it's funny just reflecting as I go back, like I said, thinking back to I had people when I first started singing out here in Utah, some of the older people, older than me, when they hear me sing, they're like, "I never knew you sang. Since when?" Or, they would say, and it just, growing up in Laie, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because, like I said, they're critics, and it just gives you tough skin. And it took me years to be comfortable in my own voice. I used to compare myself to other singers too. If I would hear another vocalist, especially if it was a male singer, if they would do things that I couldn't do, I would think to myself, "Wow, I suck." And it just took me a very long time to be comfortable in my own skin. And sorry, I'm just rambling on and on.
You're good. I'm I'm glad that you brought up that point, of being able to form that tough skin,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not only forming that tough skin, but continuing to pursue, your passion,
Yeah.
even after, the critics, or, the people that
Yeah.
were mocking you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just unfortunate sometimes for me, maybe, that when I look back, and think of the maybe not pursuing my dreams enough
Mm-hmm.
because of the critics, or because
Yeah.
of, and I'm sure that not only me, but I'm sure there's other people in the village that once the mocking came, or once,
Mm-hmm.
people started, the comments started coming, that they weren't resilient enough
Yeah.
to continue, and then they just shut it down right there. And
Yeah.
so I guess this is just for everyone, not only in the village, but whoever you are, wherever you are, if if you're not building that tough skin, or if you continue to build that tough skin,
Yeah.
and then continue to pursue your dreams and your passions,
Yeah.
that just that first step, the initial step of continuing,
Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna, project you farther than,
Yeah.
than anything else, because
Yeah.
it's just the courage.
I was just talking to my sister about that, growing up in Latvia and how there's just that criticism. And she was telling me there's this, my sister has a little boutique that she does on the side, where she sells dresses for all dress sizes. And there's another girl, I won't say any names, but there's another younger girl in St. George who does workouts with my sister. And she's interested in doing like getting a boutique, just doing it online. And so when she was talking to my sister, just trying to pick her brain about it, she was talking to her like a scared 3-year-old, like, or 5-year-old, like, I just wanted to know if what it boiled down to is she's from the village as well. And I don't know if it's, sometimes that mentality can cripple us from taking that first step.
Yeah.
And it was evident in this girl. She was wanting to do something that's a passion of hers, but she was asking my sister for advice about it. And my sister just kind of broke down those walls. It was like, she gave her all the information that she needed. And then when she finally started her boutique, on her first day, she did like $700. She killed it, And it's like, it's the afterthought of, man, I should have why didn't I do it sooner? And it's just getting over that fear of, just taking that first step. And just, it's easier said than done. And, just not thinking about the haters or the critics, but it's just got to do it.
Once you're in it, you just,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, excuse me, sorry. What are some of the blessings that you've seen come from music in your life, or maybe the life of others?
Yeah. Oh gosh, where do I start? Music is just, it's given me opportunities to do a lot of service. When I moved to Utah, I became a part of a choir called Divine Heritage, and I sang with them for many, many years. And I remember specifically, we were doing a sacrament meeting. Actually, I can't remember if it was a sacrament meeting. It was a sacrament meeting. And this Polynesian guy came in the middle of our program, and he was wearing jeans. He had long hair. He had tattoos. I think he even had like dark sunglasses. You could obviously tell that he was out of place, or he may have been a member, or I don't know if he was invited, but I had a solo, and it's a song called Have You Ever Talked to God? And I went up to sing that song, and I remember as I was singing, I just seen him like wiping his, taking the glasses off and just wiping, and I couldn't look at him as I was singing. So afterwards, he came up to me and he just thanked me. Just that in itself, I mean, I have a million stories I can tell you, but that's just one of the stories. But yeah, music has afforded me many opportunities to do service. There's not other things that I'm so great at. There's other things that I can't do, but I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do music because I've seen it change people's lives, and it's changed my life just being able to serve through music.
Um, man, that's such a powerful story. Of you don't even know the guy,
Yeah,
and for him to be emotional like that and
yeah,
come up to you after,
yeah,
that's powerful. Another opportunity that you had was to sing with Gladys Knight.
yeah,
Can you share that experience and how that came about?
yeah, yeah. Um, so I was a part of Divine Heritage, and Gladys Knight and her choir. It's called Saints Unified Voices. They came to Utah, and they came to the old tabernacle, and it was a celebration for the blacks receiving the priesthood. And we were in the audience, and we saw them perform, and there were some Polynesians in the group, and they were amazing. They just blew me away. And I told myself one day, I know this is so corny, but this is true. I told myself one day I'm going to be a part of that group. So I had some friends. Tema Hunkin is one of them. She was a
Right.
part of the group. But auditions came up. And so the friends that I had that were in the group, they messaged me immediately. And so I went and auditioned, and I made it into the group. And so I've been with them. I think I joined in like either '06 or '07. So I've been with the group for
Wow.
over 10 years. Yeah. And gosh, that is amazing. Just Gladys is one of my most favorite people in the entire world. She's so down to earth, but she's so meticulous. She's a perfectionist. Um, she says when in her presentations, "I know now why I sing. It's for this purpose," and it's just so profound. There was a specific song that we did, which required a solo part, and there was a Palangi guy that used to sing it, and he sang it beautifully. Um, but he ended up going to nursing school and leaving the choir, so it had a vacant spot for the solo. So someone had suggested my name for the solo. And mind you, there's over 100 voices in the group, and Gladys doesn't know everybody's name. So we were at a rehearsal, and we were coming back from a lunch break, and we were just waiting in the chapel. And she comes in, and then she points to me, and she goes, "Isaac." And I was like, "Me?" She goes, "Come here." So I was scared, and I went to her, and she took me to one of the primary rooms, and her assistant was on the piano, and she goes, "Do you know the song?" She said the song, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of know it, but I really did know it." She goes, "I'd like to hear you sing it." And so I was like, "Okay." So they started playing, and as I was singing it, when I got to the chorus, that's usually where the choir comes in. Gladys starts singing the alto part. The pianist sings the soprano part, and I'm singing the tenor part. So we got 3-part harmony, and Gladys is like, she's making her hands going 2 mil, singing all out. So it was pushing me to sing all out. And excuse me. Um, it was like we're having our own little jam session
Just in this room
in the
like a
room,
separate
yeah.
room.
And
Yeah.
so after we're done, she goes, "I would like you to be the soloist for that song." And I was blown away that she wanted me to be the soloist. So I've done that solo for a while. So that's a cool story that I have about
That
it.
is cool.
But just being able to learn from a living legend is just priceless. And I've gotten to know her on a personal level as well. Not everyone in the group has been able
Exactly.
to connect with her on that way. So I'm grateful for that. But I absolutely love her as a person, and I'm grateful for that experience as well.
Do you remember? So you were saying that I don't know, was it elementary or high school that you were renting or borrowing the cassette tapes from
In
the
like elementary,
library? Yeah.
elementary,
Do
yeah.
you remember picking Gladys Knight at all, or no?
No, I
Oh,
never
okay, you
did.
didn't know
I
who she
never
was
did.
until later.
I never knew her. I knew of her music till I was a little older, but
Okay.
just yeah,
I think it's also cool that she allowed you. You know, there's like you said, you mentioned there's 100 people, you know, that are in the group, but because I don't know why she chose you, but for
yeah,
you to have that personal relationship with her,
yeah,
that she allowed you
yeah,
to be in the group, and
yeah,
you know, I think that's an awesome experience.
yeah.
And then you also mentioned um, that she said she knows now why she sings. Can I ask you that? Do you know now why you sing?
Yeah, yeah,
Have you found that yet, or
yeah.
is that something that you know?
There's a
Excuse me.
time where I thought I'm gonna be like this artist and do music, and I don't know. That may still be a possibility, but um, being able to do service through music, through first of all divine heritage, learning the ropes, you know, and then well, it started at a young age with Honolulu Boys Choir, singing in choir in high school. I was also in vocal motion. Just all these little things leading up to that. Um, it's not for me to be a superstar or anything like that, but just to be able to share the gift and touch people. I think that's really what it is. I talked about the solo that I sing. When I do it in front of the people as I'm singing, I literally see their faces change. Like literally, they may have come into the fireside, you know, bad day at work. They may have been laid off, maybe going through a divorce. But as they're receiving the messages, you just see their demeanor and their face change, and that's like, okay, I was meant to do this, you know. So I yeah, that's why I know I sing because of that. Yeah,
Dang, that's
yeah.
powerful as well.
It's also nice to sing in the mixes too, but but to have meaning and purpose, yeah.
Well, I mean, let's just go into singing at the mixes. Do you feel like maybe at the mixes it's a place where you can practice? Like we're talking about like practicing your craft, you
Yeah.
know, like because you know why you sing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a place for you to do that? And then do you consciously try to practice, or do you consciously try to like get better?
Yeah.
Or is that just a hobby at this point?
Um, I don't look at it as practice. Well, it is practice, I guess, in a sense.
Right.
It is practice. Um, I mentioned that it took me a long time to be comfortable in my own voice, but like before the Isaac way back, if someone asked me to sing, I'd be like, oh no, I don't, you know. Now if someone asks me to sing, one, I'm flattered that they even want to hear me sing, so I'm kind of used to it. But um, I've learned, so like before when I would sing at Divine Heritage, um, my cousin Lisa Elisa, who used to run the group, rest in peace, she gave me a solo very quick, and it kind of got to my head, and I would dissect the song. I was like, okay, on this part, I'm going to do this here, and this part, I was being technical about it. I wasn't thinking about delivering a message or the feeling of it, because that is two completely different things. Like when people are all fancy, they're doing it for the show, but really when you're singing, you're trying to portray the message of the song, and you want the people or the audience to feel it. So now when I sing, I try to invoke those feelings. I never say never sing a song the same twice.
Right.
I'll always try to do something different, and it's all through feeling. So I believe it or not, I incorporate that in the mixes as well. And it helps too when you're feeling good too. but but yeah.
So maybe now, or maybe even growing up, who were some of your idols, or who were some of the people that you looked up to in the music world?
So many to name. I mean, Luther Vandross, Prince, even like Eric Benet, Brian McKnight, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. Just I loved all of those R&B singers. But I've recently found a a passion for like Polynesian and island music as well. I mean, I've always loved it, but being in a fob band too, and you have to sing for your crowd, and so I had to learn those types of songs as well. And so I found an appreciation for. I don't sing it like Hawaiians. Like I'll still sing it kind of blackish per se, with my own spin on it. But yeah, those are I definitely looked up to all those greats. Well, of course, Gladys as well. Yeah,
That's cool. I mean, because we're on the VillageMade podcast and talking about and speaking on the village, can you talk on just the influence of the musicians from the village
oh yes,
growing up,
yes,
and just not to be biased, but when We Are Samoa, remember We Are Samoa?
yeah.
When they used to give awards for musicians.
Hmm.
Anytime it wasn't Koku's musicians, I was like,
Yeah.
they're not that
Yeah,
good. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But just growing up in our community,
Hmm.
there's so much talent,
There
that
is.
I don't know. It's just so crazy,
Yeah.
And it's not just one, like, they're not just all Tongans or they're just not all Samoans. They're just so mixed and so diverse
Yeah.
that when you hear them at PCC, it's just like, whoa, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so, I mean, I'm biased because
Yeah.
PCC was just in our backyard. And so
Yeah.
to hear all the musicians singing at PCC,
Hmm.
it's almost like not even a fair chance,
Yeah.
for everyone else. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you speak on, your experiences with the people from the village
Of
and
course. Yeah.
musicians there?
I mean, you hit it nail on. The PCC musicians are amazing. Their musicianship is crazy. Just the chords and the harmonies that they use, it's so beautiful. My friends and I coined it the PCC harmonies. So whenever you hear it's not your. I don't want to start sounding like a music nerd, or it's not your standard major chords. It's chords that bend, and it's just, and the PCC musicians use that. So I mean, you've got the Mutis, Tian Dallin, Sheena when she was a part of it, Eliasa, Auntie Janelle Kanahele. When they would sing the kakas, they're so amazing.
Exactly.
Even like Auntie Dofi and
Yeah.
Auntie Oli.
She was OG, yeah.
And they can play anything, They're just so, like in mixes, for example, whoever's playing the guitar and they ask me to sing, like, they're not playing the correct chords or the beautiful chords that I want to hear. And it's just like, but when I'm with like people from the village who are really talented, like it just, like my spirit just is like, my bosom is burning because I'm like, it's just so much better. It's just so much better. But you're right. We have so many talented people. The PCC musicians are amazing. I love when they used to sing for the We Are Samoa. Yeah, it's just, I can go on and on about it.
Yeah. Can you talk about, I saw that you had done lives on Facebook. It was a Facebook Lives with Auntie Duffy. Was it Auntie Duffy that you had on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that and I was like, dang, I didn't know,
Yeah.
that she was a musician. I mean, I knew she was a musician, but just the depth, like the knowledge that she
Yeah.
had and just her stories.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you like talk about some of those things?
Yep. I'm so glad that I was able to do that. That's just going to be a little treasure nugget that I'm going to hold on for the rest of my life because she's an icon,
Right.
But yeah, she talked about her early beginnings. She was a musician at PCC. She talked about the church and her involvement with PCC. But I'm trying to remember actually
No worries. Yeah.
from the actual interview, but just from, I've done a lot of things with Auntie Dofi. She's amazing. And just, she brings music with her. Like, for example, at Toy's funeral in St. George,
Right.
she went up and got the guitar and just nothing rehearsed. She just grabbed the twins up, Tasi and Omi. Then she did a song like involving everyone. And then she went right up to the casket, was singing to Toy. It was just a beautiful thing. And just to be able to do that through music is just It's just awesome. Then when she was walking out and then she seen me and she goes, if I knew you was there, I would have called you up. But yeah, I absolutely love Auntie Dauphine. I'm glad I was able to do that live with her.
Yeah, man, when I was watching that, I thought that was such a cool, for me to learn from her, and then just the interaction that you had with her.
Yeah.
But also talking about talents, from the village.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do you know from the anywhere that can play? Was it the bass? Tailo, Ngalu. He only had one arm.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he played the night show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
what
crazy.
Kind of talent, you know what I mean, for you to be.
And he plays it like he plays
exactly.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I thought that was, that just that just came to my mind as
yeah,
that's the talent that we produce, or that
You're
comes
right.
from the village.
You're right. And even like Auntie Janelle Sika,
yeah,
she played the upright bass, and it's just not the regular bass, So
yeah,
just.
And then I don't know, did you even Jolene Kanahele, from the village,
with Musical Truth, and it's just
so much
talent, much talent. And I, in fact, now that I'm reflecting, I was kind of intimidated by it as being very, very young, because knowing that I loved music so much, you just kind of look up to them, and you just, I don't know, but now I appreciate them, but yeah.
I like that. And then I guess now we can turn in or talk about what you started, because of your passion for music.
Yes.
Where does the name DMJ and, your sweater you have on, Rep DMJ.
Yes.
Can you talk about that, how it all started?
Of course. The name? Yep. So we started in May of last year. So we're just over a year old. And Shane Nunga, he texted me one day and he's like, hey, you know how they have all the pages for eating? What if we did one for music? And I was like, yes, let's do it. So it was his idea to do it. So we created a page, and so when we were thinking of a name of what we're going to name it, we were just going over some different names, and I was thinking, well, what do you say when you hear that's my jam, So I presented that to him, and he's like, that's the name. So we created it, and I remember doing my very first live. Sometimes I watch it now again just to see the growth.
We talked about that earlier.
We talked about that earlier, the growth, yes. I remember I was at work and I was on a lunch break, and I went in my car and I put the phone on, and I was like, hey guys, we're just waiting for more people we only had 50 members, 50, and it's just so funny. So seeing myself, and I've got criticism and constructive criticism from people like, you say these things too much, or, so I've learned along the way. But man, it's been the first few months, we shot up to 3,000 members like that.
Wow.
Really, really quick. And we were already within the month of May, we were a part of the Pacifica festival that they had. And then there was concert promoters that were contacting us. Just the growth of it was growing rapidly. But it was difficult you got to remain constant, and you have to find creative ways to keep for me, it's members engaged. Otherwise, people who were actively involved with it in the beginning, they kind of just fell off, and it's just, you got to find ways to just constantly keep them. So it's awesome. It's been a platform. We made it just strictly for the love of music. And so it was Shane's idea. Then I grew our team. We added Joe Peters in Vegas, DJ Joe. He does a Latin styles music. And then I also added Vika Tuilupe in Hawaii, and Semi Taulongo, sorry. And that's our team. So also one of the cool things that came through it is I was able to MC the Manhattan's concert when they came to Salt Lake. And I've not really done any MCing, but through the page, I guess they saw my worth and my work, and they asked me, and I was flattered. And I guess just through the years of performing and being in front of people, it helped me to MC. I wasn't very nervous, but the people I worked with were amazing. DJ specialist was the
Yeah.
DJ, and we just had a good team, and it was just awesome. Just a lot of opportunities have come forward through it, and it's still growing, and it's yeah.
Were you able to meet the Manhattans
Yeah, I was able to meet
and just
them.
like hang out with them one on one, or like
I wasn't able to hang out with them, but I was able to meet them. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had a special meet and
cool.
greet the night before where they did a little special dinner, so that was nice. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So where do you see Rep DMJ or DMJ in the next couple maybe years, or do you see it as a long term?
I
Maybe
hope so.
10 years, or maybe in the
hope
next
so.
couple years.
Gosh, we want to eventually do our own That's My Jam concert. Hopefully we'll get to a point where we can do some bigger things on a bigger scale, but just to be able to, I really want to highlight our Polynesian artists.
Yep.
I was able to do an interview with David Rhythm. I just want to do more interviews like that, like highlighting our Polynesian artists. But I don't want to also limit it to just Polynesians, because of course I love all types of music, but hopefully it grows to a bigger brand where we are able to do bigger things. So we'll see. We just reached our first year. I can't believe it's been a year. I swear we just created it like the other day. So yeah.
That's awesome. For people, so people usually have a Mount Rushmore of things, or depending on what the subject is. So for you, who is your Mount Rushmore of singers?
Oh gosh. It just depends. I really love the strong female ballad singers like, Whitney, Mariah, Aretha, Gladys. I don't know.
Depending on.
I'm a Beyonce fan. I like the old Beyonce. I don't like the new Beyonce. I just love all types of music. It's just really hard to. I don't really have like ones that I'm just. I guess that's a bad answer.
So today, like at this point, at this moment, what is your favorite song to sing?
Gosh. I don't know if it's my favorite, but the songs that I sing regularly, which I'm kind of getting tired of, but I sing them a lot. Tennessee Whiskey, I'm like getting sick of it, but the people seem to enjoy it. Also, You're the Best Thing That Ever Happened to Me, I sing that a lot. And also Capena's Blue Darling, I sing that a lot. But when I sing it, I try to make it like it's my first time singing it. Because when people ask me to sing, I don't mind singing because I love to sing. But when they ask for those songs, in my mind, I'm like, that song again. I just put on a happy face and just try to perform it.
Right. Man, I guess in the music industry maybe, or just with the platform that you have, what do you feel like we as Polynesians have to offer the world?
Gosh, I feel like it's an untapped. Because there are so many talented Polynesians. I don't know why we're not more mainstream. There's so many. I really, honestly, it boggles my mind. Why? I don't know why Fiji's not mainstream. Maybe he's just staying in his lane, but I feel like we as Polynesians have so much to offer. It's an untapped resource. That's what I was trying to get at.
Right.
And I don't know why. I don't know if just maybe it's the crippling effect of the mindset of not taking that first step of putting yourself out there. I honestly don't know, but I've come across so many talented Polynesians. I don't know why we're not bigger than we already are.
Man, how do you develop, as a talent, like with you coming up, or when you were, still, when you were younger, trying to develop and find yourself and finding your talent?
Mm-hmm.
What helped you the most, or what advice would you give others?
Mm-hmm.
The advice that you would want to give yourself, if that makes sense.
Yep. I was talking about this with some friends. The basics helped tremendously. Um, sorry, I'm trying not to cough. Or,
You're good.
um, so putting in the work, of course, you need to put in the work. If it's something you're passionate about, it, whether it's sports, schooling, whatever, you need to put in the work. You can't cut corners. And so what I was getting at is being in high school choir and vocal motion and learning like all the basics that helped a lot. So I've come into contact with a lot of people who can hold a tune and they're interested in singing, but they're already grown and they haven't learned those basics. So I feel like if they took the time to, because it's like going from you're wanting to skip all the steps and
Right.
just I want to be a singer. You have to put in the work too. So that's my advice. If it's something that you want to do, really work on it. Because I was definitely, I mean, I could say that I was blessed with something, but I wasn't like the bomb from the beginning. I worked on it really, really hard. I can tell you many stories of failures and mess-ups and mishaps. But yeah, the basics are really helpful. Even though when you're learning it, you're like, oh, this is so boring, but it helps. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's bad too because I'm so crucial when I hear music. And I try not to knock any people down, but if I hear something that's off, it's good. It's in my ear, and I just, I can't unhear it, and they're off.
Yeah. I know you mentioned some failures or, some bombs. Can you share with us one story? But in highlighting this story or in sharing this story, it's only to highlight that
Yeah.
because of failures, you get back up and you
Yep.
do it again.
Yep.
And so.
Sure. All right. So I was back home in the village, and it was Easter Sunday, and I was asked to talk, give a talk, and I wasn't even asked to sing, but my mom was like, "Oh, sweetie, you should sing a song," and I was like, "Okay." So she was a primary president at the time, and I decided to do the song. How could you? Or how could you? Oh gosh, what's that song? How could the Father tell the world the love and happiness? Anyways, that's the
Okay.
song. And I asked my cousin Pulotu to play the piano, and she was using the book for the music. And so as I was practicing, I was using the book that she was using to practice. So before I was going up, I realized I wasn't going to have the words. So my mom, I leaned over to her mom and was like, I'm not going to have the words because Pulotu has the words on the book. She goes, oh, don't worry. So she grabs in her bag and she pulls out this pocket-sized book that she had because she's the primary president. She goes, oh, here. So it was so tiny. So I marked it and then I went up to sing. And then I knew the first line, how could the Father tell the world? So I have it up here. So I sing the first line, how could the Father tell the world? And then I look down for the words, and it's so small, I don't know where I'm at. So I was like, it was so bad. So I was mumbling the words, and then Pulotu kept playing, and then I was trying to find my spot where I was in the song. I couldn't even, it was a train wreck. So anyways, I basically was mumbling, and then I remember there was a part where I was like, I thought I knew where I was, so I started singing that, and it was wrong.
Off.
She changed it, and it was just so embarrassing. So as soon as the song was done, I go, in the name of Jesus Christ, amen, and I put my head down, and I just start walking out, and then in the very back is my classmate Kawi. She's sitting in the back going like this. Cracking up.
That didn't help you.
That didn't help. And then I walked out and I walked home. So, and I didn't go back to church for the next 2 weeks because I was like, Mom, it's your fault. You told me to sing. And so, anyways, that's a very embarrassing story, but it helped me to grow.
But how long again before you sang? But
it took me a while to, yeah, because I was still young. I think I was I think I was in intermediate, but that's one of my, I have a lot of stories of me messing up, but it's those instances or those stories that will build you, and you'll learn from them.
Dang. Well, thank you for highlighting highlighting the failures, just to show that you can get back up, and that's who you are today, is because you failed but you still got back,
Yeah.
and got back into singing. But I guess just to wrap this all up, can you share just one more story, I guess, of the gift and using your gift to bless the lives of other people?
Sure.
I know you mentioned earlier, the guy that came in with the
Yeah.
long hair and the glasses, and just the change and the emotions that he felt.
Yeah.
Is there another instance that you can think of that?
Yeah, there is a story I would like to share. It's not necessarily along the lines of that question, but it's a story that I do want to share.
Nice.
And I just want to do a little disclaimer. I'm not sharing this story for any pride or glory on my behalf, or it's just there's a lesson in it, and I really wanted to share this story.
Nice.
So it's going back to with Gladys Knight. She was doing a show with her regular music. So she has her secular music where she does her regular stuff. Then she has her gospel group. The gospel group is it's backed by the church, so it takes care of our travel expenses, food, everything.
Wow.
So she was doing a show in Hollywood at the Hollywood Bowl. It was the amphitheater. And she was doing 2 songs that required a choir to back her up. So she opened it up to the choir and offered us, if we wanted to be a part of it, to come and be a part of it, but it's on our own dime. So I was like, heck yeah, I want, So a few of us went, and we paid to go. And so we're there at the venue, and we do a rehearsal, and they've got signs everywhere that say no phones on the stage. No, they didn't want any audio or any video, nothing, no phones. And so we rehearsed, and then we went back into the green room, and we were there it was a long day. And then finally she came on, and she was doing her show. I think she had an opening act. I can't remember. But anyways, they had a big TV screen that was on the wall, and it was showing the concert that was going on. So they were getting us ready. And so I went live on Facebook, and it was just showing us all getting ready to go onto the stage. And a lot of the choir members who weren't able to make it were on the live. And they're like, oh, thank you for going live. We're so glad we can see it because we weren't there. And so I kept going live. They lined us up to go out to the back part of the stage, and I kept going live. And so I got to the back of the stage, and where we can see Gladys, we're literally on the side, she's performing, and I'm still going live. Then one of the security guys, the guards, he sees me, and he's like, hey, turn it off. So I put it in my pocket, but I don't turn the live off.
Still, yeah.
Yeah. So her microphone screeched because she was moving from one mic to a different mic. There was a mic that came down from the ceiling, and there was a screech. And I don't know if it was due to my cell phone. It could have been. But anyways, we go up, we sing the song. It was an amazing show. It was so just to see all these people. It's an amphitheater, so it goes all the way up. And people had their cell phones out with their flashlights, you see in the movies. Right. It was just so cool. So we have an amazing show. As soon as we get off of the stage, I take the phone out of my pocket and I end the live. And it was an amazing night. We go home, and I was staying at a hotel with 2 friends. And the next day we were going to go to Magic Mountain because we were making a trip of us going out to California. So in the morning when we were getting ready to go to Magic Mountain, I get a phone call. And I look at the caller ID, and it's Gladys's daughter. And I answer the phone, and she asks me, she goes, hey, did you record the show last night? And immediately I knew I was caught. And all I could say was, I did, and I'm sorry. And she had some choice words for me. Um, the venue had very strict policies on not having phones, and I violated that as a guest of Gladys. So Gladys got in trouble because of me. And so she told me that I was out of the choir. I'm no longer in the. She's like, she said many words, but she told me that I was out of the choir. I'm no longer in the part of the group. And I was on speaker with my other two friends who are part of the choir. And it kind of just killed the mood. You know, we were getting ready to, we had an awesome night the night before. We were going to go to Magic Mountain. They were like, let's not go. And I was like, no, let's go. Let's just. So we ended up going to Magic Mountain, and we just couldn't. All three of us couldn't get off of our minds because it was just a traumatic experience. So, anyways, I've been a part of the group for over 10 years, so I was fine in accepting that I'm no longer in the group. I was like, well, it's my own fault. I made a stupid judgment call, and I've done a lot of good work in the group, and I accepted that. If this isn't, if this is a plan, if it's not meant for me to be in it, that's fine. So I accepted it. So a year later, I get a phone call from someone in the choir.
Oh, wow.
And I remember being at home, and I get the phone call, and I see the name on the caller ID, and I was like, hello? I was like, well, I was wondering why they're even calling me. I was, oh my gosh, my voice is shaking. And so they say, oh, she said her name, and I knew who she was, and I said, oh, hi, how are you doing? She said, good. She goes, we were having a meeting with Gladys. She's in London, and she brought up your name, and she feels like you've been remorseful, and she wants to bring you back to the choir. And I just had no words. Like, I couldn't speak because I was thinking, out of all the hundreds of people that why is she asking for me to come back, So I was humbled that she was offering me to come back. And so our very first practice for the next thing that was coming up was in Vegas. And so I was at work in St. George. As soon as I got off of work, I drove to Vegas for the rehearsal. When I showed up, I was late. And Gladys was already there. The whole choir was in front of her. They were practicing, and I was like, oh, gosh, I don't want to make a scene. So I saw there was a side door, and there was another Polynesian friend of mine that was on the side. I was like, I'll try to just sneak in. So I get to the door, and I open it really slowly, and I try to sneak in. As soon as I walk in, Gladys just turns, and everything stops. And just the attention was on me, and I was like, oh, my gosh. So I go up to her, and she just throws her arms open. And she gives me a huge hug. And as she's hugging me, she whispers, I whisper in her ear, I was like, I start to say, I'm so sorry. But before I could even finish the word, she says, don't you say a word. And that's just, so the lesson of it is just, don't make stupid mistakes. And just the miracle of forgiveness. And no matter who you are, someone can see your worth. And we go through life, we make mistakes, we may stumble, but there's always a way to come back. And so that's something that I wanted to share. I haven't shared that with a whole lot of people, but I wanted to share it here. Wow. That's my story.
Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
The power of forgiveness, like you said, and man, just the testimony, that she has.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't have asked for a better way to, for you to wrap this up. But
yeah,
such a powerful story, and I'm grateful that you shared it. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's just such a blessing to hear. And man, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. We have some rapid fire questions, but after that you just say amen and then call it a day. But well, I guess we'll just end with some rapid fire questions.
Yeah, sure.
Get to know you a little more. What takes up too much of your time?
Social media, just like everybody else. Yeah.
What do you wish you knew more about?
I wish I knew more about. So I dabble a little bit in graphic design, and it's all self-taught. Back in the MySpace days, you remember you could customize everything. So I self-taught myself coding where I could really,
Wow.
yeah, it was all self-taught. So I wish I went to school to learn the bulk of it. Like what I know is the tip of the iceberg. So I wish I knew more about graphic design.
What or who inspires you?
Gladys inspires me, but I'm also gonna say my mother inspires me. Yeah,
Strong women, huh?
she's a
Well,
very strong woman. Yeah.
what's your favorite book?
I don't read books. No, I'm just kidding. I really don't read books. I read Facebook, but
There you go. That's a book.
that's a book. But there's a book that my mom read. It's called oh gosh, what is it called? Visions of Glory.
Okay.
And it's a book that I read. It's about a man who had near-death experience, and he's seen a lot of things that happen and that are happening to this day. It's trippy. So, if you have a chance, check it out. Visions of Glory.
What are some things that you had to unlearn?
I had to unlearn the crab in a bucket mentality. And I think a lot of us as Polynesians should unlearn that as well. A lot of us are very supportive, but a lot of us have that mental. I don't know why. It really baffles me, but I wish people would unlearn that.
If you could spend a day with someone in the past, present, or future to pick their brain, who would it be?
Um, Gosh, I should say something profound, but I would say one of my great grandfathers that I've never met
You know,
on either side, just so I can
hear their
learn more
stories, yeah.
about the family back then.
What's special about the place you grew up?
Um, there's so much special about it. It's a place where there's so much pride in everything that we do, even down to the streets that we live on. We rep on, we rep every little thing. So I think that's special.
And I see, excuse me, and I seen it in the stickers that you've been making recently, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like
Yeah.
streets.
Even sorry, just a little side
Yeah,
note.
no.
There's people that I didn't even know that grew up on the streets. They would comment on there like, "Yeah, that's the street I grew up on." I was like, "Oh, I had no idea."
Right.
So, yeah.
And it's even funny too that not only do we like talk about the streets or in Laie, but you talk about like Parkside,
Yep.
and then like Townside. Even that's a thing too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
wait, what?
And Howley Street.
What a town, right?
Yeah, what a town.
What could you give a 40-minute presentation on with no preparation?
Music. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. What song will guarantee to make you dance?
Bruno Mars, Chunky.
What are you most looking forward to in the next 10 years?
Next 10 years, I better own my own home in 10 years. Yeah.
What's the luckiest thing that's happened to you?
I once won $3,300 at a casino, and it's never happened again.
What have you only recently formed an opinion about?
I guess the whole Black Lives Matter thing.
Right.
It's just so crazy how, yeah, we're going through a crazy time right now. So, yeah.
What hobby would you get into if time and money weren't an issue?
Graphic design, for sure. Yeah.
When people come to you for help, what do they usually need help with?
A musical number, a flyer or a banner, some type of logo.
What is something you think everyone should do at least once in their life?
Go on a cruise. Yeah.
Speaking of cruises, yours got canceled, right?
No.
You were supposed to go on one recently, but
Yeah, to Alaska.
Rona took over and
Rona said nope.
Which of your scars has the best story behind it?
Scars, gosh. I have one here on my hand. Oh, it's on this hand. We were playing volleyball, and I was standing next to this it's like it's a pavilion, and one of the what is it, brick pillars that sharp edges, and there was a ball that was coming over my head, and I thought it'd be cool and like try to hit it with no look, and my hand caught and it just
Sliced it.
caught it, and so it's probably the only scar I have.
What helps you live in the moment?
What helps me live in the moment? I think sometimes we just need to take a breather and just, because sometimes things can come and go so quickly, and then even people when they're on social media, they're like, if you just take a breather and just sit back and just kind of live in it, I think that will help you appreciate the moment better.
Right. And the last question, if you could get back to the village, how or what would you do?
If I could give back to the village, I would love to do a big That's My Jam concert and bring some big artists and have it in Laie. That would be fulfilling, like a full 360 for me. Yeah.
I remember sorry, this is just going off of
Yeah,
those memories,
yeah.
I remember was it Talent of the Star or something with the stars?
Up with
like
the
on
stars. Yep. On like January 1st.
Yeah, January 1st.
Yeah.
Like they always bring, it was always a free concert too.
Yeah, like I had Willie K, Loyal Garner, like all these big.
Yeah,
man.
I remember. And so
Capenna.
That's such a good memory. Oh, you know what I mean, for us growing up. And then just the podcast that I did, last week with Kyle.
Yeah.
And he spoke of these different, the activities that we had in the village, which was like state champs or like,
so many good things. And I don't know if they still. I feel like back in our day we did more.
Right.
But I'm not there now. I don't know.
Laie days.
Yeah,
we did
days. Yeah.
Even what is it called? Like Turkey Bowl,
Turkey Bowl,
Christmas Bowl,
and the Christmas
Bowls,
Bowls,
like all these things. So
I don't know if they. I hope so.
Yeah.
But
well, thank you for sharing your talent.
Oh gosh, and thank you.
Also sharing your stories, sharing just the gift that you've been given.
Yeah.
Because the gift that you've been given, you allow yourself to share with others.
Thank you.
And in that way, blessing the lives of other people.
Yeah. Thank you.
And at this time, I want to give a shout out to Mama.
Yes.
Go ahead and
yes, my grandmother, Mama, Malatina. It's her birthday. I think she would be 91 years old today. So happy heavenly birthday.
Shout out to Auntie Tai too.
Oh yes, Auntie Tai too. Yes.
But yeah, we're connected to Auntie Tai. But I just wanted to shout out, for the Manutais. But
yes,
again, thank you.
Well, you're
Thanks
welcome.
for tuning in to another episode of the VillageMade podcast, from my village to yours. Remember, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah.